From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by National Scouting Report. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go, and we're back live from beautiful Moody Gardens here in Galveston, Texas, for the 2023 TASCO Texas High School Soccer Coaches Convention. I am now joined by the founder. I guess, is that right? Should I call it the founder?
Well, I don't know if we can say founder. I guess you can.
Yeah, founder, right? So, hey, it sounds cool. No, I think, rightfully so, appropriately so, the founder of the Texas Soccer Network and also the assistant men's soccer coach at Winthrop University. He is Mr. Zane Barnes. Coach, how are you?
Doing really well, and the introduction here was really good. A lot of anticipating, waiting to actually get in here and chat with you. But no, it's 5 years from me being back here, so a lot of old emotions are coming out, but love it, enjoy it. Yeah, and and of course, apologies. Part of also Zane and I were probably supposed to get this off about an hour ago, but as luck would have it, every now and then, especially when you're doing a live shoot, technical difficulties tend to get in the way every now and then. So figured it out. So we're here. Grateful for you, Coach. Thank you for being here. So, and you hit on something, right? It's been 5 years. So you've actually been here as a fellow, as a coach, right? As a member as well of TASCO. So former high school coach, Texas high school soccer coach in your own right. So, which I think is big on what you're doing here. So we're going to talk about that today. So tell us, first of all, just give us a little bit of insight as to who you are, where you've been, and how you got here. Man, okay. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll definitely speed it up. But
Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, Cliff Notes. I was a high school player here in Texas. Number one, I think that's probably one of the most important things.
Right.
Played college soccer here in Texas. Had no idea what I wanted to do when I was graduating in college, and so I'll plug this name. Gareth Glick was someone from my hometown and called me up and he said, "Hey, you want to teach and coach?" And I said, "What does it pay?" And that was the first thing out of college. And so
that's where you went wrong. What is the pay?
Exactly. When 2010 started coaching at Willis High School, right outside of Houston. And then the rest is history on the coaching side. It was a massive passion of mine. I got probably a little bit more of a high from that than playing. And so that's led me from, Willis to Pine Tree in Longview, Texas, to East Texas Baptist University, Northeast Texas Community College, Atascocita High School, and obviously where I'm at now with Winthrop. But loved everything. I am who I am as a coach is because of what I was able to experience and had mentors around me at the high school setting. So really, really enjoy this convention. I get it. The buzz, soccer season's about to start. You got Thanksgiving break next week. You can recover, eat some good food. And then when you get back, classes in session for soccer. And so I can feel the buzz and the energy here, and it's day number one. So it's fun to be here. Yeah, that's for sure. And you talk about, you haven't been, you said 5 years, right? It's been 5 years since you were here? 5 years. Last time you were here, and obviously wearing a different hat. But, in that time from then to now, what can you point to as what's immediately different? What do you notice? Well, the location's the same and love the location, but obviously this podcast is something that is new that's come out of it since I've been here. But I would say logistics have been, and I haven't seen this side of it, but logistics has been amazing. Like show up, booth is there for Texas Soccer Network, and everything's kind of set in stone. The rush of I feel like there's way more coaches here today than there were back then. Maybe I just wasn't aware, but place is packed in there, and I know some people aren't getting here till tomorrow. So the presenters that are here are phenomenal. I don't remember them having presenters like this when I was around. I'm presenting tomorrow morning at 10, and I'm not that I want to get out of it, but I would love to go see some of the other presenters. And so kudos to TASCO for finding these guys to come in and do this. So
yeah, that's when you have a very good lineup in terms of just speakers, clinicians, what have you, presenters, because there's you're going to have a lot of coaches with a lot of tough kind of dilemmas as to, man, where do I go?
I was looking at it last night.
I've had multiple people comment that they think this might be the best lineup TASCO has had. So yes, you're right. Kudos to TASCO. They're just collective group there from the board on down. What they're doing is definitely very much being committed to making coaching better here in the state of Texas for sure. So now you mentioned, obviously you're going to be here. You're here both as a vendor and a presenter, right? So tell us a little bit from, maybe give us one side of that on the vendor side, what you're doing a little bit with Texas Soccer Network, and then as well as what you're doing as a presenter.
Perfect. And for me, they go hand in hand. I would say though that those are two hats, but my third hat is just a fan of being here. So I'm going to enjoy that part of it as well. Yeah. But obviously TSN for us, it's an identification camps to try to get high school kids to the next level. And we're really trying to focus on networking high school coaches with college coaches. That's our kind of our mission and our vision.
Yeah. And
that kind of comes out of kind of where I saw myself and fellow coaches around me when I was a high school coach, of like, hey, I have these great, phenomenal athletes, students, and I want to help them move on. I feel like they're training well, they're doing all the right things. How do we get them connected further? And a lot of that I was able to do just because of having, like yourself, a little bit of a career in the college sector in between jobs. But for the most part, I feel like collectively as a whole, for high school coaches in Texas, they need to find a way to get that connection, and we want to try to be there to help that. These kids their players are doing these camps, trying to put themselves out there like they've done for the last multiple decades, and we're just trying to find a different avenue, an avenue where the high school coach, where we personally feel that they know their players the best. They're with them every single day. They've known them for 4 years. They know everything from their grades, their friends, their home life, what makes them tick, things that irritate them. That's all information that for me as a recruiting coordinator at a Division I institution that I want to know.
Yeah.
And so, yes, can we have it benefit high school coaches? Yes. Can we have it benefit the student athlete? Yes. But ultimately as well, it's going to benefit us, the college recruiters that are coming in to look at these kids, because we feel that we can get valuable information from the high school coaches. And so it's a new avenue, so it's a little scary that way. But that kind of ties into the presentation that I'll be giving tomorrow morning at 10. And just a quick run through of it will just be really a call to arms to high school coaches to say, hey, I think we can all agree that high school coaching in the state of Texas has made massive jumps over the last 10, 15, even 5 years. But we shouldn't be satisfied. And I think a massive thing that we need to evaluate ourselves and to progress in is the recruitment side. How do we help these players that have ultimate goals of going to play at the next level? Not only that, getting an education, how can we help them do that? And so if we can have more people around the table per se helping these athletes, I think everybody wins. So we want to do that.
So you hit on a lot there, right? And this may just further drive home the point, but why the need, maybe? Why the need for Texas Soccer Network, or what void does it really fill that maybe is going out there that is currently unfilled, that you're seeing, having been a former high school coach? You spoke to some of it, but how did that come to be?
No, I think that's a great question. And again, that's what's kind of driving us here at Texas Soccer Network, and that for us, the void is just the connection piece. The connection piece between the high school coach and the college coach. We want to be there, one, to create that connection in that, but also too, and I can say this as a coach that's actively working camps, identification camps, they're very pricey. They hit a certain socioeconomic group, and there's a lot of people that kind of get left in the dust. And so if we can do something maybe to drive down costs and competitors can kind of see, like, hey, let's we'll bring it down too. And so I think that's ultimately, and I make the joke a lot, and I've been married for 13 years, so this doesn't apply to me, but there's, the dating website Hinge. We want to be the Hinge of the dating website to ID camps, as far as, we would love to do this as long as we can until high school coaches have all the connections they need.
Yeah.
And hopefully their kids don't have to come to these identification camps. They can call a coach right up and say, hey, Susie came and played with you 3 years ago. This player isn't exactly her, but these are her good characteristics. These are things she needs to work on, but I think she'd be a great fit. Would you want to take a look at it? And I think ultimately that's how players get moved on. That's how they get played. When I recruit players, it's very rarely from an encounter that isn't set up by somebody else or something specifically through me to find. So we want to try to create that for the short term as far as the identification camp, but even more so for the long term with a high school coach.
Yeah, I definitely have no idea what Hinge is. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Sorry, all you young people.
Yeah, there you go.
I know there's people on here that know it.
Yeah. All right. So what should people think besides Hinge? What should people think when they hear the Texas Soccer Network? What should they immediately think? What should they associate that with?
Oh, man, that's a good one. There's a lot of words that kind of come to my mind, but I think a big one is just a connector. We want to pride ourselves on having we don't want to promise players anything or coaches anything. The only thing that we want to promise to players and coaches is that we want to start building those connections, that we want that connection. And so, and when I say the connections, it's not just from the high school coach to the college coach, but a lot of times at these identification camps, it's the players to the college coaches because they'll get those. But it's one of those things where we're just trying to build a better, I don't even know the old saying, but there's no way to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to build a better one. And so we know ID camps are important. They're ways to help players move on. We're not trying to nullify that, but we think there are better ways that we can get it done. And obviously seeing what the high school coaches are able to do here in the state of Texas, what they're given compared to other states, we think that there's a lot more that they can provide within recruiting.
Yeah. How is that different, right? Obviously you're abroad, not abroad, but you're in North Carolina, right? Not in state, but your interaction with high school coaches and what you're seeing, how are, kind of let others know it's good because you bring that fresh perspective from out of state is what is different about Texas high school soccer coaches, and just what they do, what they experience, their schedules, what have you. You've seen it from multiple angles and recruiting across the country.
Yep.
What is different?
Oh man, there's a lot, but for number one, every coach here in the state of Texas obviously has to be involved in the school system at some level. In other states, that's not necessarily the case. Most of the coaches that, I'm not going to say every state, but a lot of states, coaches are part-time staff and they only come out during the season. So there's no off season. Right. They only see them after school. There's no class period. When I talk to fellow coaches, they're like, in Texas, soccer is an actual class period, like in school, not after. No, it is in school. And so the amount of time that coaches get to have with these players, it's almost unfathomable to other peers that I have that are out recruiting. And so seconds, minutes, hours, days, months more than a lot of people, a lot more so than what players club coaches are. So I'm in that world too, so I don't mind saying that. But high school coaches can have a different perspective than any other coach that's around the athlete, and so we want to try to use that. Yeah.
Now you're having been a former Texas high school soccer coach. And now in the college setting, right? You're far enough, but then you're still close enough in terms of just in the recruiting world, but you're not in it every day, right? So what would you say? What have you noticed? What are the biggest changes within our sport at the high school level here in Texas? What are maybe 2 or 3 of the biggest changes that you notice?
Ooh, the DA. So no more DA. So I don't know what the participation level is, but I would imagine it's high 90s for like kids that play club, that play high school, I would say is massive. And so you have a massive influx at some of these schools that have amazing good talent. And not only that, but you have the talent of players that might not be able to play at the highest level. So finding those kids for me at Winthrop University, and I'll plug this guy in as well. He's a fellow coach with Chad Monk. He's a friend of mine at Langham Creek.
Yeah.
And, you know, he keeps his ear to the ground for me, but and I don't mind saying this because he had a former player who's graduated who's at Houston Christian now, which is right in their backyard.
Yeah. But
I'm waving my hands over in South Carolina for about a year and a half, when the reality is, if his player had resources, coaches were able to come in and see him, not so much at his club area, but high school setting, he would have had tremendous offers. And I know Houston Christian's looking back at, he's player of the year this year. You can't miss him.
Yeah.
And so I think not having the DA is massive, because all these kids can play high school soccer. But on the guy side, and I can say this from being a women's coach as well. I was a girls coach in high school. I was a girls coach in college. There are a massive number of guys that can just straight up compete that don't play club, that don't play at the highest level of club. So for me as a Division I coach, the only events I go to are the biggest events, ECNL, MLS Next. And so can we find those other kids? Because my ultimate job is to win matches, to keep a job. And so I don't care what club you play for. If you can play, you can play. And so I think on the guy side, there's a very special, very, very special thing about what we're trying to do as far as finding those diamonds. They're obviously on the girl side as well, but they're going to be way more prevalent on the men.
Yeah. So we know, obviously, the world of a college coach, a lot of tasks, a lot of duties, limited on time, like we all are, right? But it's clear that they recruit primarily from the larger events, larger tournaments and showcases, and then secondarily ID camps, right?
Yep.
Preferably their own if they have them.
Yep.
But to me, so one of the biggest things, and a lot of these college coaches, not all, but many, they will ask for the recommendation or endorsement of the club coach, right?
Yep.
That particular student athlete's club coach. One of the biggest things, the conversation that isn't happening at all, is why is that college coach not reaching out to the high school coach, who is the coach that student athlete, if they play high school, they're spending anywhere from, here in Texas at least, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours every week around, as you said,
yep,
around the school year. It's not just during the season, right? So in terms of, vouching for character, right? Vouching for, hey, what is this kid like off the field, in the classroom, right? In the locker room, in the weight room, right? What is that? What is this kid's story like in terms of just siblings, family, right? What are we getting? Because I know if my livelihood's at stake, right, as a college coach, right, it's like, I need to know some of these things, right? So, and that's the question. It's like, why is that conversation not happening?
Ultimately, I think it's because where they are getting recruited. They're getting recruited at club events. So there's no connection between the player and the high school coach. The connection is what they see. The connections between, they play for Challenge ECNL. So I'm gonna work through Challenge. So I think that's where the narrative will ultimately change once we start breaking those barriers down and we can build those connections between high school coaches and college coaches. So, but no, you're 100% right. But in saying that, in my job, I'm the same way. But if I find a Texas kid that I see from a club, my first instinct is to find out where he goes to high school, and I'm calling that high school coach. Now, that's because I have a background being a high school coach in Texas. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. I don't want any of my competitors to do that, obviously. But I think that's going to be the main reason. But no, you hit the nail on the head. High school coaches know far more about the individual than probably any other coaching environment that they're in.
Yeah. And so where does, in that process, in that void, right, where does Texas Soccer Network come in?
Man, that's awesome. Right dab in the middle, hopefully. Really what we want to do is number one, it's twofold, right? we want to work with coaches to get their better kids out so coaches can see them. But then also we need those coaches to be present. We want those coaches to be out at the events so they can connect with the college coaches themselves. We know the quality's there. We know it is. The hard part is making sure we can get the quality out. And then once the quality's out, it's about the coaches just kind of connecting. And then from that standpoint on, we talk all fair about similar visions and helping people help other people, and we want to do that. I mean, with players that enter our event, that's our passion. Our passion, we feel that Texas is under recruited, underutilized. With the amount of people that are actually playing the sport, going out collegiately at all levels, it's not as high as some other areas, and so we just want to kind of help with that and be a resource. And so we don't want to turn a blind eye to high school coaches. We would love and value their opinions on things that maybe we can do to help out. And this isn't me with my Winthrop University hat on. This is TSN. With my Winthrop hat on, I just want to find good talent. And so I'm going to go through any avenue to try to do that. My competitors, guys that I have to sit across the field from, want to do the exact same thing. And so I think once we can get the product out there, it's obviously going to sell itself. And so our biggest thing is buy-in from coaches. The hardest part sometimes for us as coaches in general, and I'm lucky enough to work with U.S. Soccer, and so we talk about this in some of our courses, but sometimes it's very hard for us as coaches to step outside the box, to be uncomfortable, because we build an environment that is comfortable to us. And so recruiting, helping players move on, can sometimes be uncomfortable. And even on my regards to me, when I was at Tascocita, we had some amazing players. And so was there a little hesitation to call Alabama, about a really good player, even though I knew they could be maybe good enough, but hey, man, this is Alabama SEC. Like, she doesn't really want to hear from a high school coach. When now really kind of hitting it with our levels, we don't really care who we hear from. We want good information. We're going to look at whoever we need to look at. And then if it passes the eye test, we're going to go back to the source to kind of get a better evaluation. And so we want coaches to be a little brave in reaching out to college coaches. We want them to sell their kids, because I feel a kid puts 4 years into a program, 3 years into your program. Like, let's do whatever we can to help those players move on, change their lives. My life was changed by playing college soccer. Yeah. So how many lives can we change just by making some phone calls, some connections?
So I'm the high school coach listening to this, right?
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe we can cover the whole spectrum, right? Maybe I've been at my place for 10 years. Maybe I'm in my first year, right? And I don't know what I don't know, but where do I begin in this? I have some talent. There's some kids that I want to help out. What's maybe the first step I should do?
Man, to be honest, this is going to be crazy, but reach out. Reach out to me. TSN has my contacts on that. Obviously, I have multiple jobs, so but I would definitely say reach out. Reach out to peer coaches that you coach with that maybe have been in it for a little bit of time, that maybe have contacts that you can pass it along. Go out and I know this sounds terrible, but I think there somewhat needs to be some kind of relationship between high school coaches and clubs. And it's a two-way street. It can't be a one.
How dare you?
How dare you?
A relationship between high school and club.
I'm looking out the door to see if they're going to throw me out of here.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. They have to coexist.
Yep,
right?
Exactly.
Because it's not about us or them. It's about our student athletes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's doing a disservice right now, because both parties aren't utilizing their full potential to help players move on.
Correct. Could not agree more. Not agree more. Yeah, well said. So as we start to wrap up here, Coach, as is kind of customary here, what we're trying to do, kind of our stoppage time, anything on your, obviously we've talked a good bit, but anything on your mind, shout outs, thank yous, anything you want to share about just what you've witnessed here so far. Obviously we've just started here at the TASCO convention, but anything you want to share, the floor is yours.
Man, okay, awesome. Well, I know I'm almost out of here, so I'm not trying to do this to kind of put you in better light, but very thankful for what you do. I think with the same premise as us, I think there are really key players in this high school setting that are moving the profession forward that I didn't see 10, 12, 13 years ago. And I think a lot of people would say that. So I want to thank you, obviously, for your podcast. I mean, there's some other great guys that are doing different things, whether it be social media, the board of TASCO for bringing who they're bringing in. So but I obviously wouldn't be here without the high school coaches that brought me into the profession. And so they've molded me, shaped me, taught me how to be professional, because sometimes when you get out of college, you don't know how to be a professional yet. So they help with that. But no, very thankful for the community in Texas. My heart is always in Texas. I'm not here right now, but have a lot of love for the profession here, for the coaches that take a lot of time out of their life, obviously away from their families to you're not getting paid millions of dollars being a Texas high school coach. It's pennies on the dollar. And so I know what that sacrifice is. And for coaches to continually do it year after year for decades, there's a lot of lives that they're changing. And that's hard to see when you're in it. But for me on the outside as a college coach, I see the things that high school coaches are doing. And it's phenomenal, especially here in the state of Texas.
Awesome. Well, well said. Thank you for the kind words as well. And rightfully so. I mean, just big fan of what you're doing already. Look forward to being able to explore some sort of partnership in the future. Here to support as well. And anytime we can help out like-minded, organizations, programs, individuals, we're all about that for sure. And as we start to wrap up here, Coach, one last thing. You grab that Sharpie there in front of you. So we got two things. We're signing. Everyone sign, message, whatever you want to put on here on our little background board here that we got, and then we got a ball here that you're going to sign as well. So
brilliant.
You go ahead, take off your headphones there if you like.
I can put up my favorite soccer quote. I think I can do that.
There you go.
Perfect.
Just watch your step there.
Yep.
I know this makes for fascinating video and radio, but appreciate you, Coach. Thank you.
No problem.
And again, for our listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be coming back with more episodes now that we finally got our technical issues situated. We'll be coming back to you more over the next day and a half here at Moody Gardens and in the 2023 TASCO, Texas High School Soccer Coaches Convention. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back with you sometime soon.